What do you do when you suspect that the only problem with the machine is the operator? Now let's find out. Alright, let's take a look. So this is a Husqvarna Viking, and it is a Prelude 340. And this machine, from the customer, that said it's not picking up the lower thread, so okay. Let's see here. Alright, that picked it up, but it's probably why it's sewing that it's not picking up the thread. So we'll go ahead and take this apart, do a cleaning, and then we'll check out, see what we can find about the thread not being picked up. Whenever you get a machine and it's already threaded, you want to make sure that the thread's going through everywhere it should be going through. So I'm seeing it go through right here, it goes down, goes through. So our tension is set right in the middle of the range, so 345 is right in the middle, so it's on number 4, so tension is set pretty good. And then you look up here, take up lever. Thread is not through the take up lever, so oh yeah. So the thread is going straight down, it's not going through our tension assembly or the take up lever, it's going straight down. See that? So that could have just happened while it was in transit, so we won't hold that against anybody. And like I said, we're going to clean it first, and then we're going to take a look at how it sews. We're trying a new angle. We're going to see what you think. I don't know, do you like it? Yeah, we'll see. My Husqvarna sewing machine take apart kit consists of 2 Torx drivers. One's a T20 and the other one is a T10. That's what I use to take apart most of the screws holding together any Husqvarna Viking machine. And you may have seen I already used a flathead on the needle. So I know that my workshop is a mess right now, but I got a lot of projects going on, and you'll see in some coming videos. So the shop is a mess right now. You may notice I don't use power tools very often, and that's because the power tools, when you're putting screws into plastic, these screws, when they first put them in the factory, they made their own threads. And so the threads are actually in deformed plastic. If you start using tools to remove these and install these, you're going to strip all that plastic out, and then your screws won't hold anything together anymore. So I don't like using power tools on sewing machines. Once you get a Husqvarna Viking machine apart, you're going to have 2 more screws on the top. Sometimes they're right next to the other 2 screws, sometimes, like in this case, they're further apart. It's amazing that over the years they've continued to use the same convention. It makes it really easy on the mechanics that are trained to work on these machines. If you look at Singers and Brothers and those sort of machines, it's wildly different from machine to machine. Almost forgot, some of these you got to take the buttons off before you can get it apart. So what I'm doing right now is you've got the take up lever here, and it'll catch this plastic, so I need to lower the take up lever by moving the needle down a little bit, and then this should be able to come right off. and then we've got some wires attached. This could be a pain eventually, but we'll see. But if you look, there's this plastic piece right here, and as it's moving, you can see it changes what shows up. So this is all just a red piece of plastic. Looks like a little belt, and as you move it, it's going to change that. So this is something that's similar to the timing of a machine that has to be set correctly. Otherwise, when you change your stitch, you'll be on the wrong stitch. You'll think you're on your straight stitch in the middle, yet you'll actually be on some other stitch, like, you know, the buttonholer or something else. So something to keep an eye on. Looking at this machine, it's not too dirty. It's not very dirty at all. I'm still going to clean it. There's a little bit of lint down there. This is what makes me a little fearful that the owner of this machine was just inexperienced, and it could be that their inexperience on how to thread the machine is why it didn't work. This is where you get into the problem. Well, I've already put time into taking the machine apart, so I'm going to do the cleaning and everything because it needs it. It is an older machine, so it's probably been sitting for a while, and so we're going to get it back into working order and then thread it up and see how it does. If it works right away, it's possible that I'm going to have to educate the user of the machine, the owner of the machine, to make sure that they know how to thread it correctly. You always want to make sure that you clean the tension assembly really good. So got a little brush that I put in there. So I raised the presser foot so that when you put this in here, there's no tension on it. And then that should get you to where you want to be. Nothing's coming out of here. There's no thread. I also blew in there with the air gun, so we are looking pretty good. You usually have 4 bearings, so 2 for the upper shaft, 2 for the lower shaft. These are bushing type bearings, meaning that they're permanently lubricated, so they're impregnated with some oil from the factory, but it doesn't last forever. And so I put a little mineral oil in there. I'm of the camp that I don't lubricate plastic, so I just don't do it. I've seen enough of these machines to know that the hydrocarbons in the oil just break down the plastic over the years, and so I just don't do it. I don't think it's really needed. But anywhere there's metal on metal, I will lubricate. Alright, now one thing we can check while we have the machine open, since it's not an electronic machine, we can take a look at some of our adjustments here. I'm going to put this wheel on because it's easier when there's a wheel on there. So we got our new needle. Don't do any adjustments with the old needle. If that thing's bent just a hair, everything will be off. Alright, first thing we want to do is kind of see where we're set. Right now we're on here. Right there. So we're on the left of the needle, so the next one over should be the center needle, but I don't know what this should be on. Okay, so our left to left left to right is off. This is our zigzag at a 0 stitch. That should be in the center. And if I go all the way over to max stitch width, so yeah, we need to adjust something here. Okay, we're going to try this adjustment over here to move the needle over a little bit. Yeah, I fixed the left but not the right, so we're still something's not right. Okay, there's a cam right in there. Took me a minute to figure that out. And then now I gotta undo what I did before. And now our zigzag looks great. So that's that one. So let's go to, that's zigzag, and go up. This should be in the center. That is definitely in the center. Front to back is good as well. And then this one should be on the left. Perfect. That took way too long, but I now know how to adjust that and had to learn it. We haven't checked our timing yet, so timing, I'll put it in the middle and we'll take a look at our timing. This is what would cause the issue that the owner was having with the thread not being picked up. So first I'm going to check it in the center. If it looks pretty good, then we'll look at both ends. When I'm looking at this, and can I zoom you in? What we want to see is when the needle's on its way back up, the hook should pass right behind that needle and almost touch it, and it's pretty close. It's looking pretty good. And then for our zigzag, we got to check that on our zigzag. Maximum zigzag. So first, that's not a zigzag. There. So we got it on the right side. I'm going to watch the eye of the needle is probably about 2 millimeters below, and then on the left hand side that hook crosses just above the eye of the needle. So that all looks really good. I don't think we have a timing issue on this. We just had that left to right adjustment, which I need to write down, otherwise I forget. Sorry if you hear my air conditioning in the background. It's warm. Okay, we are at the point now where we can put it all together and we want to sew with it and see how it works. Alright, our bobbin thread is black, so we use white for our upper thread. Always use a different color thread on your upper thread when you're checking a sewing machine. That way you can easily identify who's the culprit. We are on the straight stitch on the side. We are on, got 2.5 stitches per inch, or is it 2.5 millimeters? I don't know. Probably 2.5 millimeters. It's very smooth. That's a nice machine. Okay. I mean, that is a really smooth machine. Very quiet. Quieter than my air conditioner. Yeah, so when I said I'm getting air conditioning, I mean that because right now I've got a portable machine that's really loud over in the corner. I'm actually going to get a mini split unit that's going to be up there. It's going to be a lot quieter, a lot cooler, and I can use it to cool off the garage, the whole garage, not just my space. Alright, and then now we want to change to the widest zigzag. We'll give that a try, see how our tension is looking. Tension's looking really good. So the tension is, it's not exactly equal, but you want to have a little bit more pull on the bottom than you want on the top, so that's actually pretty good. We're going to turn it down, stitch length down, and see how well we do with the widest stitch at the lowest stitch length. That's what trips up your machine, and that's how you know a machine is balanced really well. And we're checking for skip stitches or any other sort of issues. We also want to go in reverse, so we're going to do that. And it's still going. And yeah, just having trouble feeding that a little bit, but that's to be expected because I went reverse. There's a lot of bulk that I just caused right there. See that right there? So that's the part that we were going over. It almost didn't want to make it. That's pretty good. So we're not getting any bobbin thread on top. We're getting a little bit of the upper thread on the bottom, and that's fine. You can fine tune any of that with your tension right here when you're doing crazy stitches like that. Speaking of crazy stitches, let's pick one of these crazier stitches on this machine and see how it looks. So we're going to do I like this stitch. This one is fun. It causes the fabric to feel a little backwards every once in a while too, so it's a nice test of a machine. See how it's feeding nice and straight as well? Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good stitch. So we're going to call this machine fixed. There was a problem with the needle alignment, but I think really what the problem was it wasn't threaded correctly, and I'm going to have to make sure I educate the owner about that. But there was a problem with it. We fixed it. We got some cleaning on the outside to do, so that tape that was on there left some residue, as well as the rest of the machine. And I always use my final, after cleaning, I'll use this 303 protectant, and this is UV protectant. Hopefully that UV protectant will keep this from turning yellow over the years, as machines like to do. So it also makes it look brand new. It almost makes it look like I waxed the machine. So two things I use to clean. One is crud cutter, and the other is not leave-in conditioner for your hair. It's actually isopropyl alcohol, but that's a spray bottle that I use. And then after I clean it, I use this 303 protectant, which works well to make it look brand new. Look like it just came off the showroom floor. Here we have a machine that is now cleaned and pristine. The machine has the thread that was in here before. Now what I always do when I'm giving somebody back a machine and I suspect that there was an issue with the threading, I will thread the machine for them. I don't do it every time, but I do it sometimes so that they can see how it should be threaded. And there we go, we are threaded. Ready to go and sew another day. Yeah, bonus tip. Did you know that on Husqvarna Viking machines, the foot pedal, that little tab right there, goes into this on your little accessory tray? Fits in just like that. Some of them, that divot, actually something went there to hold it in place, but not this one. And then when you put your cover on, you have room for your cord. And there you go.